The escape pod tumbled through space like a broken toy. Its hull was scorched black, and emergency lights blinked weakly in the darkness. Inside, a small creature cried. When the colony ship detected the pod, Captain I ordered it brought aboard immediately. His species had a reputation across the galaxy as the finest caretakers of children. They could not ignore a distress signal, especially one that might contain a lost child. The pod hissed open in the cargo bay. Medical officer stepped forward carefully, her large eyes adjusting to the dim interior. There, strapped into a safety harness, was an infant. The baby's skin was smooth and pale, its tiny hands reaching toward nothing. It cried with a sound that made A's heart ache. "It's so small," she whispered. "How could anyone abandon something so helpless?" She lifted the infant with gentle hands. They were not a large species. They stood barely 4 feet tall, with thin limbs and delicate features. Evolution on their low gravity had made them fragile, but they had survived through intelligence and cooperation. This baby seemed even more vulnerable than their own children. "Can you identify the species?" Captain I asked. I examined the infant carefully. The database shows some similarities to our own young, perhaps a distant relative species. The pod's computer is damaged. I cannot access its records. She wrapped the baby in a warming cloth. "Whatever it is, it needs care immediately." They named her. The name meant unexpected gift in their language. They raised her as one of their own. I became her primary caretaker, feeding her carefully prepared nutrition paste and monitoring her health constantly. But from the beginning was different. Her body temperature ran hot. While they kept their environment at a comfortable 15 degrees, skin burned at 37. They had to create a special room for her with its own climate control. When I held her, she had to wear protective gloves. "Why does she generate so much heat?" I asked. "Is she ill?" "No," I said slowly. "I believe this is normal for her, but it concerns me. Our children would die at such temperatures." Also refused their food. The nutrition paste that sustained all made her sick. Desperate, I tried everything. Finally, in frustration, she offered some raw plant matter from the hydroponics bay. The infant grabbed it and stuffed it in her mouth, making happy sounds. "She eats solid food," eyes widened, "but she has no teeth yet." "Her gums are strong," I said, "much stronger than ours." As grew, the differences became impossible to ignore. At 1 year old, she crawled faster than children could run. At 2, she took her first steps and immediately started climbing everything in sight. At 3, she spoke fluently in the language but also made strange sounds they couldn't reproduce with their throats. By the time was 5, she stood taller than most adult. Her caretakers had to modify doorways in her living quarters. She attended school with other children, but she had to be careful during play. Once, she hugged her friend in too hard and bruised his ribs. She cried for hours afterward. "I didn't mean to hurt him," she sobbed to her. "I was just happy." "I know, little one," I said softly, though she had to look up to meet's eyes now. "You must learn to control your strength. You are not like us." "Why am I different?" asked. I had been dreading this question. "We do not know yet, but we will find out." The incident prompted I to finally contact from the Galactic Science Council. He sent them detailed scans of biology, along with recordings of her behavior. The response took 3 months to arrive. When I read the report, his hands shook. He called an emergency meeting of the ship's council. "They have identified species," he announced to the gathered elders. "She is human." Silence filled the chamber. Then everyone started talking at once. "Human? That's impossible." "They're from the quarantine sector." "We have her on board." I raised his hands for quiet. "Please, let me explain what the report says." He pulled up a display showing a rotating image of a blue and green planet. "This is Earth, the human. It is classified as a Class 7. The gravity is nearly 3 times what we experience on our ships. The atmosphere contains high levels of oxygen. The weather includes violent storms and temperature extremes. He changed the image to show anatomical diagrams. Humans evolved as persistent hunters. Their ancestors would chase prey animals until the prey collapsed from exhaustion. They can regulate their body temperature through liquid excretion. They heal from injuries that would kill most species. Their bones are incredibly dense. Their muscles generate enormous force. Eldera spoke up, her voice trembling. Why would the universe create such creatures? Because Earth demanded it, I said quietly. The report indicates that 99% of all species that ever lived on Earth went extinct. Humans survived by becoming nearly indestructible. What do we do? Asked Elder. She is dangerous. She is a child, I said firmly. She is my child. I have raised her for 10 years. Yes, she is strong. Yes, she is different, but she is gentle. She follows our teachings. She practices meditation. She excels in her studies. She has never deliberately harmed anyone. The question is not whether she is dangerous now, I said. The question is what happens when she becomes an adult. What happens when she realizes how powerful she is? I sighed. There is another consideration. According to galactic law, we should have reported finding her immediately. Humans are restricted species. They are not supposed to be in this sector of space. We have technically been harboring an illegal alien for a decade. Are you suggesting we turn her over to authorities? A's voice rose. They would take her away from everything she knows. I am suggesting we need to tell the truth, I said. She deserves to know what she is. They told her on her 10th birthday, sat in the council chamber, surrounded by the adults who had raised her. I explained everything as gently as he could. Listened in silence. When he finished, she looked down at her hands. They were large and strong, with 5 fingers instead of the 4. So I'm a monster, she said quietly. No, a move to her side. You are not a monster, you are my daughter. But I'm not really your daughter, am I? Voice cracked. I'm something you found, something from a scary planet, something everyone is afraid of. We are not afraid of you, I said, though even he could hear the lie in his voice. Stood up. Even at 10 years old, she towered over the assembled elders. Yes, you are. I can see it in your eyes. You've always been a little afraid of me. I just didn't understand why before. She walked out of the chamber. I tried to follow but moved too quickly. For the next few weeks, she attended her classes but didn't speak. She ate her meals alone. She spent hours in the observation deck, staring out at the stars. The other children noticed the change. In, whose ribs had bruised years ago, finally approached her. Are you okay? He asked. I found out what I am, said. I'm human from a... In was quiet for a moment. I looked up Earth on the library computers. Your planet looks beautiful. All that water, all those colors. It's supposed to be deadly. Maybe, but did you see the animals? There are creatures that fly with feathers, creatures that swim in massive pods, creatures that are even bigger than you. And sat down next to her. I think your planet looks wonderful. Felt tears in her eyes. Everyone is scared of me now. I'm not, In said. You're still the same person you were yesterday. You're still my friend who helps me with math. You're still the one who always shares her dessert. You're still. But I could hurt you. I could hurt everyone. You could have hurt me lots of times, In pointed out. Remember when Elle was bullying me last year? You picked him up with one hand and put him in a recycling bin. You could have thrown him across the room. But you didn't. You were gentle, even when you were angry. Smiled despite herself. He did look funny in that bin. See, you're not a monster, you're just strong and smart and kind. In nudged her shoulder carefully. Being human doesn't change that. Word about's true nature spread through the colony ship quickly. Some families forbade their children from playing with her. Others stared at her in the corridors. But some, like In's family, made a point of treating her the same as always. 3 months after the revelation, A diplomatic vessel requested permission to dock. The ambassador was a species known for their strict adherence to galactic protocols. He demanded a private meeting with the council. "You are harboring a human child," the ambassador said without preamble. "This is a violation of multiple treaties." "She is 10 years old," I replied. "She has lived with us since infancy. Where would you have us send her?" "That is not my concern. Humans are dangerous. They come from a world that kills most visitors within hours. Their aggression is legendary. Do you know their history? They fought wars that killed millions of their own kind. They developed weapons that could destroy their entire planet." "That is their past," I interjected. "Has been raised in our ways. She is peaceful." The ambassador's scales rattled, a sign of agitation. "You cannot suppress nature with nurture. A predator raised among prey is still a predator. When her instincts emerge, she will be deadly." "Have you ever met a human?" I asked. "I have no need to. The evidence is clear." "Then you know nothing," I said firmly. "Is a child of our people, regardless of her biology. We will not abandon her." The ambassador departed, but he left a warning. "The Galactic Council will hear of this. You may find yourselves facing sanctions." That night couldn't sleep. She had heard about the ambassador's visit. She knew she was causing problems for the people who had raised her. She found in the medical bay, reviewing reports. "Am I going to have to leave?" asked. I looked up surprised. "No, of course not. This is your home." "But I'm causing trouble. Everyone is scared. That ambassador said I'm dangerous." I set down her work and pulled into a hug. It was awkward now that was so much larger, but it felt good. "Listen to me carefully," I said. "You are not dangerous. You are powerful. There is a difference. A weapon is dangerous. A person who chooses how to use their strength is simply powerful." "How do you know I'll choose right?" whispered. "Because we raised you to know the difference," I said. "Because you asked that question. Dangerous people never wonder if they're dangerous." Pulled back. "What if I want to meet other humans? What if I want to see Earth?" A's expression was sad but understanding. "Then we will find a way to make that happen. You should know where you came from." "But you're my family," said quickly. "Yes, and family supports each other even when it's difficult." I touched his face gently. "If you need to find your people, we will help you. And when you're done, you can come home, if you want to." Hugged her again, careful not to squeeze too hard. "I'll always want to come home." But as she lay in bed that night, stared at the ceiling and wondered, what were humans really like? Was Earth really as deadly as everyone said? Did she have family out there somewhere? The questions kept her awake until morning. 2 years passed, grew taller and stronger. She learned to control her power, to move carefully among her fragile friends. She excelled in her studies, particularly in mathematics and spatial reasoning. She even joined the youth debate team, using her knowledge of philosophy to argue complex ethical questions. But she also felt increasingly isolated. She was the only human on a ship of 3,000. Every day reminded her that she was different. On her 12th birthday, something happened that changed everything. The school organized a field trip to the agricultural dome, a massive section of the ship where food was grown. 50 students crowded into the space, marveling at the rows of plants and the complex irrigation systems. Stood near the back of the group, trying not to take up too much space. She listened as the instructor explained how the dome structure was maintained by a series of support beams and pressure systems. "The dome is perfectly balanced," the instructor said. "Every component is essential." As if the universe wanted to prove a point, an alarm suddenly blared. Red lights flashed. The instructor's face went pale. "Structural failure in Sector 7, the computer announced. "Evacuate immediately." Everyone started running toward the exits. Followed, but she heard a terrible groaning sound above her. She looked up and saw a massive support beam breaking free from its moorings. It was falling directly toward a group of younger students who had frozen in fear. Didn't think, she just moved. She crossed the distance in seconds, positioned herself under the falling beam, and raised her hands. The metal struck her palms with crushing force. Pain shot through her arms and shoulders. The beam weighed at least half a ton, probably more. "Run!" she screamed at the students. They scattered. Legs shook. Her muscles burned. She had never lifted anything this heavy before. She wasn't sure she could. But she had to. She thought about In's friendship, about A's kindness, about all the years of being taught that strength meant protecting others, not hurting them. She pushed upward, fighting gravity with everything she had. The instructor rushed back with emergency equipment. Other adults arrived. They worked frantically to install temporary supports. Every second felt like an hour. His vision blurred. Her hands went numb. "Hold on," the instructor shouted. "Just a few more seconds." Finally, the supports locked into place. The beam's weight shifted off her hands, stumbled backward, and collapsed. She woke up in the medical bay. I sat beside her bed, holding her hand. "How long was I out?" asked. 4 hours. You suffered severe muscle strain and some minor bone fractures in your hands. For any, those injuries would be catastrophic. You'll be fully healed in a week. "The students, are they okay?" "Thanks to you, yes, all of them." A's eyes were wet. "You saved 12 children today." "I just did what anyone would do." "No," I said firmly. "You did what only you could do. No one else on this ship could have held that beam. You used your strength to protect the weak. That is the highest calling of any person." Over the next few days, became a hero to many. Children brought her drawings. Parents thanked her. Even some of the adults who had been afraid of her before looked at her with respect. But not everyone was happy. Elder A called another council meeting. "Today's incident proves my point," she argued. "Is too powerful. What if she decides to use that strength for harm instead of good?" "She saved children," I countered. "How can you turn that into a negative?" "Because now everyone knows what she can do. She could tear this ship apart if she wanted to." "But she doesn't want to," I said. "She wants to be one of us." "She cannot be one of us. She is human." I pulled up a new display. "I have been investigating the origin of this escape pod. I traced its trajectory backward. It came from a colony ship that was attacked by pirates 12 years ago. All passengers were killed." The room went silent. I covered her mouth with her hand. "Its biological parents are dead," I continued. "But the ship's manifest listed other family members on various human colonies. She has grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, people who share her nature." "What are you suggesting?" I asked quietly. "I am suggesting that it is time for her to meet her own species, not as punishment but as a gift. She deserves to know her heritage, to understand what she is, to see that there are others like her." I stood up. "You just want her gone." "I want what is best for her," I said. "Can you honestly say that living here, always being different, always being careful, is what is best? She cannot even hug her friends properly. She has to sleep in a room heated to temperatures that would kill us. She eats food that makes us sick. She is trying so hard to be something she is not." "She is in spirit," I said. "Perhaps, but she is human in body, and that matters." The debate continued for hours. Finally, I made a decision. "We will present the option too. She is old enough to have a say in her own future. We will tell her about her biological family. We will offer to arrange transportation to human space, but the choice must be hers." They told the next day. She sat in the same council chamber where she had learned she was human 2 years earlier. This time, she was calmer. "I have family?" she asked. "Real human family?" "Yes," I said. He showed her images. An elderly couple on a farming colony, a middle-aged woman who worked as an engineer, 3 cousins around her age. "These are your grandparents from your father's side. This is your mother's sister. These are her children." stared at the images. The humans in the pictures looked so much like her. Tall, strong. They smiled with mouths full of teeth designed for eating meat. They wore clothes in bright colors that would look garish on. "Do they know about me?" she asked. "We have sent a message." They responded immediately. "They thought you were dead. They would very much like to meet you." Was quiet for a long time. Finally she spoke. "I want to go, but I'm scared." "That is natural," I said softly. "What if I don't fit in there either? What if I'm too for the humans and too human for the—" "Then you will be yourself," I said, "and that is enough." "Will you come with me?" asked "If you want me to." "I do. I want someone who knows me, who knows that I'm not just a human, I'm me." Arrangements were made. They contacted a human merchant captain named who frequently traveled through their sector. She agreed to serve as guide to human space, with accompanying them. On the day of departure, hundreds of gathered to say goodbye, and hugged carefully. "You'll come back, right?" he asked. "Of course," said. "This is my home. I just need to understand where I came from." "Good, because you still owe me help with my advanced mathematics homework." Laughed, though tears ran down her face. I approached her last. He had been captain of the colony ship for 40 years, and he had seen many strange things, but was special. "Remember what we taught you," he said. "Strength is a responsibility. Power is a trust. You carry both, but you also carry compassion. That is what makes you remarkable, not your human body." "I'll remember," promised. She boarded the merchant ship with a. As the airlock sealed and the ship pulled away from the colony, looked back at the only home she had ever known. "Are you ready?" Captain asked over the intercom. Took a deep breath. "Yes, I'm ready to find out what it means to be human." The merchant ship was cramped and cluttered. Captain kept the temperature at 22 degrees, which felt uncomfortably warm to a but merely comfortable too. It was the first time in years that didn't feel overheated. Was a woman in her 50s, with dark skin marked by scars and eyes that seemed to see everything. She wore practical clothes and kept a pistol on her hip. When stared at the weapon, just shrugged. "Space is dangerous. People are more dangerous. You always go armed." "We don't carry weapons," I said stiffly. "Your people don't need to," replied. "Everyone knows they are peaceful, but humans, we have a reputation for being trouble. Sometimes that reputation is useful. Sometimes it makes people want to test us." She looked at. "You'll learn that soon enough." Their first stop was a human trading station called Crossroads. It orbited a gas giant and served as a meeting point for dozens of species. Docked the ship and led them through the airlock. The noise hit first. Hundreds of voices talking, arguing, laughing. Music played from somewhere. Engines roared. The colony ship had been quiet, with people speaking in soft tones and moving calmly. This place was chaos. The crowd hit her next. Beings of all sizes and shapes moved through the corridors. Many were taller than her. She didn't have to worry about taking up too much space. She could just walk. "This is amazing," breathed. "This is normal," said. "Come on. I need to check in with the station master and pick up some cargo. You two can explore if you want. Just stay together and don't go into any areas marked restricted." I looked nervous. "Is it safe?" "Safe enough. Most species here follow basic laws. Don't steal, don't kill, don't cheat too obviously. You'll be fine." And I walked through the station together, noticed something immediately. She wasn't the only human. There were dozens of them moving through the crowd with confidence. They were loud. They gestured wildly when they talked. They took up space without apologizing. One human, a young man carrying a heavy crate, bumped into. The crate must have weighed 100 pounds, but he balanced it easily on one shoulder. "Sorry," he said casually, then kept walking. Stared after him. He had just apologized for a tiny bump while carrying something that would have required 4 working together with mechanical assistance. "They're all so strong," she murmured. You are strong, a corrected. No, I mean, this is normal for them, he wasn't even trying. They found a food court where different species sold various cuisines. Saw a human vendor selling something called grilled meat sandwiches. The smell made her mouth water. Can I try one? She asked. You have never eaten meat before. I know, but I think I'm supposed to. They approached the vendor, a broad-shouldered woman with graying hair. She looked at with surprise. Haven't seen you around before, new to the station. New to everything, admitted. I was raised by, this is my first time meeting humans. The woman's eyebrows rose. Seriously, well, welcome to humanity, kid. First sandwiches on the house. She prepared the food quickly, piling meat and vegetables onto bread with practiced efficiency. She handed it to, who took it carefully. The first bite was overwhelming. Rich flavors exploded in her mouth. Her body responded with joy, as if recognizing something it had been missing for years. She ate the whole thing in less than a minute. Good, the vendor asked, grinning. I didn't know food could taste like that, said. Kid, you've been missing out. Meat is what we're designed for. Our teeth, our stomachs, our whole digestive system. We're omnivores, but we lean heavily toward the carnivore side. I looked slightly sick. She has been eating plant-based nutrition her whole life. Explains why she's so thin, the vendor said. No offense, but you look half-starved. You need protein. Real protein, not that synthetic paste stuff. Over the next hour, tried several different foods. Each one was a revelation. She had been surviving on nutrition, but she had never truly been satisfied. As they walked back toward the ship, they passed a viewing window. A group of humans stood there, watching maintenance workers repair part of the station's exterior. The workers floated in zero gravity, using tools to weld metal plates. That looks dangerous, I observed. One of the watching humans laughed. That's a standard repair job. Easy stuff. Wait until you see the deep space construction crews. They work in hard vacuum for 8 hours straight. How? I asked. The cold alone would kill most species. Humans are tough, the man said proudly. We come from a world that's trying to kill us every day. We evolved to handle it. Thought about Earth. She had seen images in the database, vast oceans, towering mountains, storms that could flatten buildings, temperatures that ranged from deadly heat to deadly cold. Is Earth really as dangerous as they say? She asked. The man looked at her. You're human, aren't you? You should know. I've never been there. I was raised by. His expression softened. Oh, that's actually kind of cool. But yeah, Earth is dangerous if you're not adapted to it. Gravity will crush most species. The bacteria and viruses would kill anyone without proper immune systems. The weather is violent, but for us, it's home, it's beautiful. I'd like to see it someday, said. You should. Every human should stand on Earth at least once. They returned to the ship. Was already there, supervising the loading of cargo containers. Have a good walk, she asked. It was enlightening, I said carefully. Good, because we're heading to Redemption Colony next. That's where your biological family lives, kid. We'll be there in 3 days. Stomach clenched, 3 days. 3 days, confirmed. Better start thinking about what you want to say to them. That night lay in her bunk and tried to sleep. The ship hummed around her. I slept in the bunk below, breathing softly. Thought about the humans she had seen today. They had been casual about things that would terrify the. They ate meat without hesitation. They worked in conditions that would kill most species. They moved through space with confidence and strength. Was that who she really was? Not the careful, gentle person they had raised, but someone loud and strong and dangerous. She didn't know, and that scared her more than anything. The 3 days passed quickly. Spent most of the time talking with, asking questions about human culture and history. Was surprisingly patient, explaining concepts that had never encountered. So humans fought wars against each other? Asked. Not just with other species, but with each other. Yeah, we're not proud of it, but it's part of our history. We fought over resources, territory, ideology, religion. Sometimes we fought just because we didn't like each other. That's horrible. It is, but we learned from it. Most of humanity now is united. We still have disagreements, but we've gotten better at solving them without killing each other. The say that violence is never the answer was quiet for a moment. They have never had to fight for survival. They evolved on a peaceful world. Their predators were small. Their environment was stable. They developed intelligence and cooperation because those traits were enough. But humans, we evolved in a nightmare. Everything on Earth was trying to eat us or kill us. We developed intelligence and cooperation too, but we also developed the ability to fight back. Violence isn't something we're proud of, but it's something we're capable of. And sometimes, that capability is necessary. I don't want to hurt anyone, said. Then don't. But don't feel guilty about being able to. There's a difference between having the capacity for violence and choosing to use it. When they finally arrived at Redemption Colony, his hands were shaking. The colony was a small settlement on a moon with 0.8 gravity. It specialized in agriculture, growing food for other nearby human settlements. Dock the ship at a small port. Your family is waiting in the arrival hall. Take your time. I'll be here when you're ready to leave. And a walk down the ramp together. The arrival hall was simple, with basic furniture and large windows showing the moon's rocky landscape. 3 people waited there. The elderly couple stood together, holding hands. They both had gray hair and weathered faces. The woman was crying. The man looked like he was trying not to. The younger woman stood slightly apart. She was tall and strong, with dark hair pulled back in a practical ponytail. She wore work clothes covered in dirt. When entered, they all stared. Then the elderly woman moved first. As she whispered, "I think so," said, Are you my grandmother?" "Oh, sweetheart." The woman crossed the distance and pulled into a hug. She was strong, much stronger than I could hug back without worrying about hurting her. The elderly man joined the hug. "We thought you were dead, we mourned you, and here you are all grown up." When they finally pulled apart, the younger woman stepped forward. "I'm Rachel, your mom's sister, your aunt. You look so much like her." "I do," touched her face. "You have her eyes, her smile. Your mom was beautiful and she was tough. She would have been so proud of you." They talked for hours. Grandparents whose names were James and told her stories about her parents. Her father had been an engineer, talented with machines. Her mother had been a teacher, passionate about education. They had been traveling to a new colony to start a school when the pirates attacked. "You were only a few months old," James said, his voice rough with emotion. "We searched for survivors, but we only found debris. We never imagined you had escaped." Rachel explained the rest of the family. "You have 3 cousins, my kids. They're around your age. They're out working in the fields right now, but they're excited to meet you." "What do they do?" asked. "Farm work mostly. We grow food here. It's hard work, but it's honest. We feed thousands of people across the sector." I had been sitting quietly, watching, finally noticed her. "You must be the one who raised her." She introduced herself. "I have been's primary caretaker since infancy." Moved to her and took her hands gently. Thank you for keeping her alive, for raising her to be kind. We can see that you did a good job." A's eyes filled with tears. "She is a wonderful person." "Yes, she is." They spent the next week at the colony. Met her cousins, 2 boys named David and a girl named Sarah. They were curious about her, asking endless questions about the. "So you've never done heavy lifting?" asked, incredulous. "What did you do for fun?" "We studied, we meditated, we discussed philosophy." David snorted. "That sounds boring." "It wasn't, it was peaceful." Sarah studied carefully. "Do you know how to work, like physical work?" I'm strong, said, but I've never done farm labor. Want to try? The next day went into the fields with her cousins. The work was hard. They spent